Ladies and gentlemen, every great accomplishment in history began the same way, with a clear purpose. Purpose is the fuel that drives all achievement. It's the why behind your effort, the reason you rise early and stay late, the inner voice that says, you were made for more. When you are driven by purpose, you're not easily distracted. You become focused, disciplined, and resilient. Vision is the picture of the future that you hold in your mind. But a vision without purpose is just a dream, and purpose without action is just potential. The key is to bring the two together, to let your purpose drive your vision, and your vision guide your actions. Every person who rises from ordinary to extraordinary follows the same process. They clarify their purpose, they define their vision, and they act day by day with courage, consistency, and conviction. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with intention. So ask yourself right now, what is driving you? Is it obligation or is it purpose? Because when you are truly driven by purpose, you will turn obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. The future belongs to those who know what they want and are willing to work relentlessly until it becomes reality. Don't just chase success, chase significance. Because when your life is aligned with a purpose greater than yourself, victory is inevitable. Every achievement in life begins with a clear sense of purpose. Purpose is the spark that ignites the fire of ambition. It is the driving force behind every successful endeavor, whether in business, relationships, health, or personal growth. Without purpose, effort feels empty. You might stay busy, but you won't be fulfilled. You might reach goals, but they'll feel hollow. It is purpose that breathes meaning into everything you do. When a person has a strong purpose, they tap into a level of motivation that cannot be manufactured by external rewards alone. Money, recognition, and accolades may push you for a while, but they fade quickly if they're not tied to something deeper. Purpose is what keeps you moving long after the initial excitement is worn off. It's what gets you up at 5 a.m. when everyone else is sleeping and keeps you working late when others have given up. Purpose is personal. It comes from within. And because it's internal, it cannot be taken from you. Many people wander through life without direction because they never stop to define what truly matters to them. They confuse activity with accomplishment. They follow routines without reflection. But high achievers take the time to ask themselves the hard questions. Why am I doing this? What's the reason behind my goal? What do I really want my life to stand for? These are the questions that unlock clarity, and once you have clarity, you have power. Purpose brings alignment. It aligns your thoughts, your goals, and your daily activities. When your life is guided by a powerful purpose, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You no longer say yes to distractions, obligations, or habits that are out of sync with your vision. You learn to make decisions quickly and confidently because you have a clear filter. Does this support my purpose, or does it pull me away from it? Think of purpose as the root system of a mighty tree. The stronger and deeper the roots, the higher the tree can grow. If the roots are shallow, the tree falls over at the first sign of wind. Life is full of storms, financial setbacks, health challenges, moments of doubt and uncertainty. When you're anchored in purpose, you become unshakable. You bend, but you don't break. You adapt, but you don't abandon your course. Purpose also breeds persistence. The road to meaningful achievement is long, and there will be times when quitting looks easier than continuing. But if your purpose is strong, you won't need willpower. You'll have why power. And why power always outlasts the temporary desire to give up. People with purpose don't need to be pushed. They pull themselves forward because the fire inside them is stronger than the pressures around them. Moreover, purpose creates passion, and passion makes you magnetic. When you meet someone who is living their purpose, you can feel it. There's energy in their voice. There's intensity in their eyes. There's conviction in their actions. People like this inspire others without trying. They draw support, opportunities, and collaboration because others want to be part of something meaningful. Purpose-driven people lead by example and elevate everyone around them. Finally, understand this. Purpose is not reserved for the few. It's not only for the artists, the inventors, or the entrepreneurs. Everyone has a purpose. It may not be obvious at first, but it's there waiting to be discovered, refined, and lived out. The moment you align your life with a clear, compelling purpose is the moment everything changes. Your goals become more focused, your actions more intentional, and your journey more fulfilling. Purpose, no matter how powerful, remains dormant until it's put into motion. You can have the clearest sense of why you're here, the deepest desire to make a difference, and the most vivid vision of a better future, but without action, it's all theory. Potential is not power until it is expressed through consistent, focused effort. Far too many people are rich in potential but bankrupt in execution, and the gap between the two is action. Ideas don't create results. Implementation does. You can read the best books, attend the most inspiring seminars, and even discover your life's mission, but if you don't take action, nothing changes. The world does not reward good intentions. It rewards results. Purpose must be translated into habits, routines, and daily disciplines. Only then does it begin to shape your life and influence the lives of others. The truth is, most people don't fail because of lack of purpose. They fail because they don't move. They wait. They overthink. They seek perfection before they start. But purpose doesn't need perfection. It needs momentum. Even a small step forward is infinitely more valuable than a grand plan sitting idle. Action creates clarity. When you take a step, even if it's messy, you learn something. You adjust. You grow. But none of that is possible until you begin. When you act on your purpose, you develop what matters most, self-trust. Each time you follow through on a commitment, you prove to yourself that you are serious. You send a signal to your subconscious that this matters. And over time, this creates inner strength. Confidence doesn't come from wishing. It comes from doing. The more you act on your purpose, the more capable and certain you become. Action also builds momentum. Success is not a lightning strike. It's a snowball. You start with something small. You show up today, then tomorrow, and again the next day. Each action compounds. Each day you follow through, your purpose gains weight, your habits gain strength, and your confidence gains depth. Eventually, what once felt difficult becomes your new normal. The extraordinary becomes expected, because you built it one step at a time. Waiting for motivation before acting is a trap. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. When you start doing the work, even without feeling ready, energy begins to rise. You feel progress, you feel momentum. That's when motivation kicks in. If you're driven by purpose, you must learn to act before you feel like it. Purpose is not about emotion, it's about commitment. Many people confuse being busy with being productive. Purposeful action is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's not about filling your day with tasks, but aligning your energy with your mission. Every action you take should be filtered through one question. Does this move me closer to the vision my purpose demands? If not, it's noise. Purposeful living requires intentional doing. Purpose without action is like a seed never planted. It might contain the blueprint for greatness, but it will never grow, never bear fruit, and never fulfill its design. Action is what activates the seed. It breaks the ground, pushes through resistance, and begins the journey from possibility to reality. If you've discovered your purpose, the next move is clear. Act, even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncertain. Because without action, your purpose dies in your imagination instead of living through your contribution. Purpose is the engine, but vision is the map. Without vision, your purpose has no destination. It's like driving a powerful car with no set route. You may be moving, but you won't know where you're going. Vision brings shape to your purpose. It turns abstract desire into concrete direction. It gives you a target to aim at, a picture of a better future that pulls you forward even when the path gets tough. Vision turns internal motivation into external results. When you develop a clear vision, you create a mental blueprint of your ideal life, career, or contribution. You begin to see things not just as they are, but as they could be. That picture becomes your personal compass. It helps you measure progress, prioritize your energy, and make intelligent choices. Without it, you risk becoming reactive, responding to life's demands instead of proactively shaping your future. With it, you become intentional, focused, and driven with precision. Many people confuse goals with vision. Goals are short-term milestones. Vision is long-term direction. Goals help you win the day. Vision helps you win the decade. A powerful vision stretches beyond what you think is possible. It challenges you to grow. It pushes you to acquire new skills, develop character, and expand your capacity. It's not just about what you want to achieve. It's about who you must become in order to achieve it. The clearer your vision, the faster you move toward it. Clarity is a performance multiplier. If you can't explain your vision in a sentence, it's not clear enough. The top performers in any field can articulate exactly what they want, why they want it, and how it ties to their deeper mission. This clarity creates certainty, and certainty leads to confidence. People with a strong vision walk differently. They speak differently. They live with a sense of direction that others can feel. Vision also helps you endure the process. The road to meaningful success is long and often uncomfortable. You will face setbacks, delays, and detours. But when your vision is vivid, when you can see it, feel it, and almost touch it, it becomes a source of strength. It reminds you why the struggle is worth it. Vision becomes a mental rehearsal for success. You start living in the reality of your future before it arrives, and that changes how you show up in the present. Every great accomplishment was first visualized. The skyscraper was once a sketch. The global business started as an idea on paper. The transformed life began with a decision to dream bigger. Vision is how you preview your destiny. If you can see it in your mind, you can begin building it in real life. But it starts with the courage to imagine more, not in a vague, wishful way, but in a focused and structured way that allows you to work toward it every single day. And vision is not static. It evolves as you grow. What once seemed like the ultimate outcome may become a stepping stone to something greater. That's the beauty of living with vision. It grows as your mindset expands. It matures as your skills improve. It deepens as your purpose becomes more defined. And you're not locked into one version of success. You're on a continuous path of refinement, always adjusting the picture to match the person you are becoming. Most importantly, vision is what brings your purpose to life. Purpose without vision is passion without a plan. But when you combine a powerful purpose with a crystal clear vision, you become unstoppable. You wake up each day knowing not only why you're here, but where you're going. And that alignment creates energy, discipline, and momentum like nothing else can. At some point in your life, you must make a decision, either to take full control of where you're going or to let life decide for you. There is no middle ground. Responsibility is not just about owning your mistakes, it's about owning your future. If you don't take charge of your direction, someone else will. And chances are they won't lead you where you were meant to go. The truth is simple. You are the architect of your life. And nothing changes until you accept that truth completely. When you blame circumstances, the economy, your past, or other people for where you are, you hand over your power. You become a passenger in your own life, reacting instead of leading. But when you take responsibility, everything shifts. You stop waiting. You stop hoping someone will come and rescue you. You stop playing small. Responsibility puts the pen back in your hand. It reminds you that you are writing this story, and you decide what happens next. There is enormous freedom in responsibility. It may feel heavy at first, but over time it becomes your greatest asset. Because when you take full responsibility, you realize that your future doesn't have to look like your past. You're not stuck with the limitations you were born into. You're not confined by what others expect of you. You are free to build something new, something better, something bold. But it starts with saying, "This is my life, and I choose what I do with it." Direction is not inherited. No one is born with a map. You must create it. You must define where you're going and why. And most importantly, you must own the process of getting there. Don't wait for clarity to come from the outside. Don't rely on someone else's opinion of what your life should be. Responsibility means doing the hard work of asking yourself, what do I really want? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I committed to regardless of how I feel? No mentor, coach, or leader can take this step for you. They can guide, they can support, but they cannot carry you. You have to choose your path. You have to discipline your habits. You have to get up when you fall. Mighty fall. That level of ownership is rare, but it is what separates those who live with power from those who live with excuses. The day you stop outsourcing your results is the day you start producing results that matter. Taking responsibility doesn't mean controlling everything. It means responding to everything with intention. You can't control the economy, other people's behavior, or unexpected setbacks. But you can control how you respond, how you adapt, and how you move forward. That is true power. Leaders respond, and when you're driven by purpose, you can't afford to be a victim of anything. Not fear, not failure, not opinion. It's tempting to wait for permission, to wait until someone validates your vision or gives you the green light to pursue your goals. But when you take responsibility, you stop waiting. You give yourself permission. You realize that leadership is not a title, it's a decision. A decision to own your life, to lead yourself, and to never outsource your destiny. No one is coming to save you. But once you realize you're enough to save yourself, everything changes. When you finally accept full responsibility, you stop negotiating with distractions. You stop blaming the past. You stop justifying where you are. And you begin the work of building something better, brick by brick, day by day. You don't need to know every step, but you do need to commit to the next one. Because direction is not a gift. It's a responsibility. And when you take it seriously, you step into the authority you've had all along. Clarity is not a luxury. It is a necessity for success. When you know exactly what you want, everything becomes easier. Decisions become faster. Distractions lose their grip. Time becomes more valuable. Clarity eliminates confusion, and confusion is the enemy of progress. The sharper your vision, the stronger your results. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack direction. Clarity turns potential into performance. Most people drift through life unclear about what they truly want. They chase one thing today and something else tomorrow. They react to circumstances instead of directing their own outcomes. Without clarity, you become vulnerable to noise, other people's opinions, trends, temptations, and the endless pull of what doesn't matter. But when you are clear, you become focused. Focus is how ordinary people create extraordinary results. Clarity begins with asking the right questions. What do I really want? Why does it matter to me? What does success look like for me? Not for someone else, but for me. If you can't answer these questions, you're running someone else's race. But when you answer them with precision, you take control. You align your actions with your values, and that alignment gives you unmatched confidence and momentum. A vague goal produces vague results. Saying, I want to be successful or I want to be happier means nothing unless you define what that actually looks like. How much? By when? In what area of your life? Success loves specificity. The more clearly you define the outcome, the more powerfully you can pursue it. The brain responds best to clarity. It searches for solutions, patterns, and opportunities that match your intent, but only if that intent is clearly stated. Clarity isn't just about goals. It's also about identity. Who are you becoming? What do you stand for? What are your non-negotiables? Without clarity of self, you'll be swayed by the world. But once you're clear on who you are and where you're going, you become immovable. Life will still throw challenges at you, but you'll face them with purpose instead of panic. That internal certainty becomes your anchor in times of uncertainty. Clarity also drives efficiency. When you're clear, you don't waste energy. You don't overthink. You don't say yes out of guilt or fear of missing out. You say yes to what matters and no to everything else. That discipline creates speed. It accelerates your progress. You begin accomplishing in 1 year what others struggle to finish in 5 because you're not scattered. You're sharp, deliberate, and decisive. Too often, people wait for clarity to appear as if it's something that happens to you. But clarity is created. It comes from action. You start with a general idea. Take the first step and learn as you move forward. With every experience, you refine your vision. You get feedback. You eliminate what doesn't work. That's how clarity grows, through motion, not meditation. Don't wait to be certain before you begin. Begin and certainty will follow. Ultimately, clarity is your compass. It tells you where true north is. It keeps you on track when the world pulls in 100 directions. It helps you recognize opportunities and avoid detours. Without clarity, you might still be moving, but you're not progressing. And in the pursuit of purpose, progress is everything. The clearer your goals, the greater your drive. Because when you can see it, you can build it. And when you know exactly where you're going, you will not be stopped. Vision is where you want to go. Victory is the outcome you're after. But the link between the two, the element that transforms the dream into reality, is discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's the ability to stick to the process long after the excitement of the goal has worn off. Anyone can be inspired for a day, but only the disciplined win the long game. Discipline is the great equalizer. What looks like sudden success is often just the result of sustained effort compounded over time. The challenge is that consistency often feels unrewarded in the short term. You work hard, and nothing seems to change. You give your best, and the needle barely moves. But this is the test. Will you keep going when it feels like it's not working? Most people don't. They stop just short of the breakthrough. But if you understand that results are often delayed, not denied, you'll stay with it. That patience separates the winners from the wanderers. Being consistent doesn't mean being perfect. You'll have off days. You'll make mistakes. You'll stumble. But consistency means getting back on track quickly. It means you don't let one bad day become a bad week, or a bad week become a bad habit. You stay connected to the mission, and you recommit as often as necessary. Success is not about flawless execution. It's about relentless recommitment. Consistency also creates trust, both with yourself and with others. When people see that you follow through, that you don't quit, that you keep showing up, they begin to believe in you. But more importantly, you begin to believe in yourself. Every time you stay consistent, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. That belief becomes the foundation for bolder action, greater risks, and higher levels of achievement. When you're consistent, you gain something far more valuable than momentum. You gain mastery. Repetition deepens skill. What once required effort becomes instinct. You stop thinking and start executing with precision. You begin to notice details others miss. You operate at a higher level, not because you're lucky, but because you've earned the right through repetition. Mastery is not gifted. It's earned in the repetition of the process. Process. There will be moments when you question the value of your consistency, when results don't show up fast enough, when comparison whispers that others are moving faster. But remember, consistency always compounds. Every repetition matters. Every disciplined choice adds up. Success is not one giant leap. It's thousands of small steps in the same direction. You may not feel it today, but keep going. The process is working on you, even when it's not yet working for you. Victory belongs to those who don't stop. Those who refuse to let boredom, fatigue, or doubt pull them off course. The ones who understand that average effort produces average results, but consistent effort, applied over time, creates extraordinary outcomes. You don't need to be intense for a week. You need to be consistent for a season. Because consistency is the currency of greatness, and those who stay with it long enough eventually walk into the very victory they once only imagined. Adversity is not a question of if, but when. No matter how clear your vision, how powerful your purpose, or how disciplined your action, there will be days when life hits hard. Unexpected setbacks, failure, rejection, fatigue. These moments test the strength of your commitment. And in these moments, resilience becomes your greatest weapon. It is the inner force that keeps you moving when everything around you tells you to quit. Resilience is not about never falling. It's about always rising. It's the decision to keep going even when progress is invisible and the weight feels unbearable. Most people retreat when things get hard. But resilient people dig deeper. They understand that every obstacle carries a lesson and every delay holds a purpose. They don't get bitter. They get better. Because they've trained themselves to see pain as part of the process, not a sign to stop. The truth is, resilience can't be taught in a classroom. It's forged in the fire of challenge. You don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. Every time you push through the storm, you develop a toughness that can't be faked. You become battle-tested. Not just in mindset, but in action. And this toughness builds something far more powerful than comfort ever could. Confidence that you can handle anything. When you're driven by purpose, you're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for your vision. Resilience gives you the endurance to keep fighting. Think. It separates the dreamers from the doers, because vision without resilience collapses under pressure. But with resilience, your vision becomes unshakable. You don't crumble when things go wrong. You adapt. You don't fold when the plan fails. You find another way. That's what leaders do. They pivot, they persevere, and they press on. Resilience is also how you maintain belief in the face of delay. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey isn't the failure, it's the waiting. The silence between effort and reward. This is where many give up. But resilient people understand that the timeline is not always in their control, only their effort is. They keep showing up, they keep building, they keep believing, even when there's no applause, no spotlight, and no obvious payoff, because they trust the process. Criticism, rejection, and failure are all part of the road to success. You cannot grow if you are afraid to be tested. Resilience gives you the thick skin and sharp focus required to stay grounded under pressure. You stop taking things personally. You stop crumbling over small losses. You develop emotional toughness, the ability to lead yourself forward without waiting for perfect circumstances or external validation. Resilience also gives you the strength to keep your standards high, even when you're tired. Most people lower their expectations when life gets tough. They settle. They say, this is good enough. But the resilient never lower the bar. They adjust their pace, but never their principles. They keep their eyes on the long game, not just the moment. And because of that, they grow stronger, more refined, and more unstoppable with every challenge they face. If discipline builds consistency, then resilience builds character. It shows you who you really are when everything is on the line. It reveals your hunger, your drive, and your grit. Resilience doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It means pain won't break you. And when you're driven by vision and anchored in purpose, resilience becomes your armor. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Now listen closely. Purpose is your compass, but it's your choices that will chart the course. You've learned that vision without action is simply a dream, that responsibility puts the power back in your hands, and that clarity cuts through the noise. You know that discipline builds the bridge from where you are to where you want to be, and resilience is the armor that protects you through every challenge. Most importantly, you understand that victory does not come to the fleeting or the distracted. It comes to those who show up, day after day, faithful to the process. So ask yourself, are you ready to own your direction? Are you willing to embrace discipline, push through setbacks, and stay consistent even when the finish line feels distant? Because when you commit fully, when you become relentless in your pursuit, you transform your vision into reality. You don't just chase success, you command it. Remember, greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's claimed by those who refuse to quit. This moment right now is your invitation to step into that truth. Stay driven by purpose. Take charge of your journey. And turn your vision into victory. Your future is waiting. Go claim it.